Hi, everyone. Hi, Tara, and hi, Carl. Nice to see you again. I hope everyone is well. My name is Katharina Gihring. I work as a research coordinator at the University of Johannesburg, Process, Energy, and Environmental Technology Stations. We do a lot of this in the space around optimizing the green economy for small and medium enterprises, and I focus very strongly on the circular economy. I've been part of the cohort last year, and I unfortunately can't join for the next cohort, but I think I'm just going to give you a quick insight of what my group has done in the last cohort and also a little bit of the experience through the project. So let me just share my screen with you. Then I can just give you a quick insight on the PowerPoint. Let me just go back. Okay, so what we have done in the project is looking at how companies currently are transitioning towards a circular economy in the packaging space in South Africa. And that project was possible or was made possible through the South African Plastics Pact. So the University of Johannesburg has become a supporting member, and nicely enough as well, the Sustainable Seas Trust. So it was very nice to have a team that was consisting of myself, 2 people from the SST and also from the Northwest University. And as you might know, when you live in South Africa, we actually have quite a good recycling rate for a certain portion of plastic materials, especially if we look at PET. But there are a lot of plastics that are actually not managed correctly. They end up in landfills. And also here you need to differentiate what type of landfill. So we have a lot of landfills that are not actually licensed or registered, that are open dump landfills, because 40% of the population is actually not serviced. So they somehow need to get rid of that waste, and what they do, they dump it. And you will also find it in a lot of informal settlements. People burn plastics to keep themselves warm, which has health implications. So there's a much more social layer to the whole plastics issue problem around it. Looking at the circular economy, obviously we want to close the loops as tight as possible, and rather look at reuse models and also rethink packaging and how we interact with packaging and how we perceive packaging. In South Africa, you'll find that a lot of fruits and vegetables, they're all packed because of the climate that we're experiencing on the continent. And how do we retrieve the packaging, but also how do we make packaging more recyclable? How do we have more recycled content in the packaging included? And how can retailers shift and work together to reach their circular economy? And that's where the South African Plastics Pact comes in. So it joins the Global Plastics Pact from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation that has started the new plastics economy movement. You will find a lot of the Plastics Pact are situated in Europe. Nicely enough, I think Kenya just has also launched a Plastics Pact, and also Australia. So the map is a little bit old, but you will find more and more regional Plastics Pact, and they look at plastics packaging in our country specifically. So those are the ambitious targets that they have set. The Plastics Pact is 100% of plastics packaging to be reusable, recyclable, or compostable. And here compostable is the exclaimer of looking also at labeling and actually making it possible in the waste streams. We already have biodegradable, compostable plastics on the market, but currently there's a massive problem of retrieving them because you don't want to leave them in the traditional recycling stream, as they contaminate that recycling stream. So there's a bit of problems around the bioplastics. Then 70% of plastics packaging should be effectively recycled, and then also that more recycled content is included in the packaging. And the Plastics Pact, as the other pacts, actually have a roadmap, and they work with the big guys that are in our local economy. So obviously, you know, Unilever, Danone, but Pick and Pay, Spar, Coca-Cola, and so forth. And those guys actually come together, they sit around the table, and they co-create solutions, and they talk about what challenges they face. And it's quite fascinating if you actually see competing businesses sit together around a table and work in various action groups to tackle the challenges around the plastics. And one part of eliminating unnecessary plastics that falls under target 1 is actually a list of plastic items that retailers are supposed to phase out by the end of December 2021. So you find the microplastics, the straws, the oxo-degradable bags, lollipops, and various other items, so 12 items in total, and they've already started to work on a second list. So the retailers are starting slowly but surely to phase out items, but there are also items that are very tricky for retailers to phase out. They're trying to phase out the items that are low-hanging fruits, but that also depends on the retailers, because every retailer has different challenges or a different logistical system. And they obviously need to work with the manufacturers, the packaging industry, to change the system and to shift that system. So it's quite a complicated process. I think a good example, Pick n Pay, they've just spoken at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation webinar. They have 8,000 home products. So they produce 8,000 products, and you can imagine how tricky it is to change packaging of most of those products. And then to also influence these companies that you buy in as a retailer. And what my group did is we basically, we started to engage with the Plastics Pact member, with some of the members, and actually interviewed them and how they transition to the circular economy. And that was really amazing to speak to major players in the field and to engage with them and to learn from them and to see that everyone takes the journey a little bit differently. And most importantly, that the sustainability department really influences the entire company and that they are not alone on their journey. So we were, as the team, we were allowed to engage with the people. We presented it to the South African Plastics Pact as well, to the first target group, and we have presented it to other stakeholders. So that was a really amazing experience to work with people in the field. I think from my experience is that this initiative is fantastic because you will learn a lot. You will learn a lot of different fields as well, and you will learn of the different country contexts and how complicated the actual system is that we have built up and what possible solutions are for that. And not only that, but you're also going to be able to actually engage with people from different fields, and you learn with different cultures, which I think is so valuable to the system. And to solve the plastic challenges, we need all the creative brains. You know, solutions, technologies are good and they can be implemented, but then you also need to have the buy-in from the stakeholders. You need to understand what's the social perceptions, why are people acting that way. So I think that that's a lot of those type of thinking that you will learn through the seminar. What was a bit challenging is that in the beginning we had a massive group. I think we were like around 16 people, and that didn't work. So it was everyone seemed to want to do a lot different. Some people wanted to use that project to focus more on their PhD. I do think it is actually quite good if the group can sit together from the beginning on and figure out a topic together that everyone is engaged with. And also to be honest to your teammates and tell them, listen, this is not the type of project I want to engage with. I want to swap to a different group, and to communicate that early on. And I know it is quite tricky because you still have to kind of get to know your teammates to think about the project. But I think initiative is key here, and being honest to your team members. So I think those are the tips that I kind of can give you. I think it is a fantastic opportunity, but I do think also you need to commit, and you need to commit the time to that initiative to take the most out of it. So I think important is as a team is to show self, to be independent, to show initiative, to work with the person that is the coordinator, because the coordinator is not supposed to run the project, but to coordinate the people, and to develop a project or an objective for the project early on, so that you can actually execute it within the timeline and also kind of draw up a timeline for the project. I think that's quite useful, including some deadlines, and just having an open channel of communication. So yeah, but I wish you a lot of fun, and I hope that everything works out well and that you can actually go to Port Elizabeth. We couldn't travel last year because of COVID, so I really hope this works out for you, because I think it just becomes so more real if you can actually see it in the physical world. I think that's all that I have to mention, and I wish you a lot of success and strength.